Good morning, everybody. Ace of Trades here. First trading day in March, March 2nd. Bible says in Psalm 94, verse 17, unless the Lord had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. Yes, I'm very thankful for all the times the Lord has been my help. Today we have probably because of the war stuff going on, uh, we're down about 85 points just as we're pressing into the open. I noted a gap up here from Friday. You can see how prices just when they opened down here, they gapped down. There's no price movement here. We kind of tried to fill it, but that's still overnight. So, usually you look for prices to try to fill that gap during the regular session because the regular market tries to do the same thing. It'll try to fill gaps left in the chart. Won't always happen, but it's just something to be of note and be aware of. Overnight high, regular overnight high here, overnight low down here, and we have a steeper move that broke and made a new low, and then you could probably look at this as all one bigger move down that maybe is going to try to push down, kind of push up off this, reversed off this break and new low. I kind of look at all this as all one move, even though some people, they'll draw steeper stuff like this, and that's a break, and then that's another leg, and I think you just kind of have to put everything together and see what's going on in the layers. So, and then we get this kind of sideways. This pushes up then to a new high. Kind of try to reverse there, make a double top. And now this is a much kind of you see a steeper push down, so it's a much stronger push, and now we're this broke. Made a technical new low. Now we're kind of going sideways here, so we just have to wait and see what happens. This could, start trying to move up here. Maybe we go into a range. Maybe this tries to push down. You just don't know. You just have to wait and see what structures develop. So that's all we got right now. All right, quick update here. So I think we were down in here, and I wasn't sure about what this. You had the break and you had the new low, and now we tried to push down one more time, and we started climbing here. And when you're drawing these trend lines, this just, you can draw it real shallow or real steep like that and call this a break and a new high. But typically, when you're looking for trends, you're looking for like a bigger break than that. So the fact that this pushed up, we got into this double top. It messed around here a little bit, held it and bounced off it. So this thing all looks like this all looks like one leg up to me. And so that that all looks like a trend to me. Regardless of how you've got this, how steep this is, you could draw something here like this. I'm not worried about where price is doing right now because it's probably going up to at least the measured move. It's going to go to the overnight high, probably going to go to the overnight measured move here. And I just drew it. I don't know, is this measured move? Should this be to here, to here? Uh, I mean, who knows? But we're in the generally correct area. And then it may be looking up to price to go up to fill this gap before it thinks about really strongly reversing, but we'll see. But anyway, you could draw your trend line like this at first, and a lot of people will draw it super steep like that, and they'll see the break and new high, and they'll be looking for a reversal. But when it just fails to even attempt to push down, and you just keep getting these, against any little red move, you get these big, another big push up, another big push up, one little red bar, another big push up. This all then appears to be connected to me. And so also, if you're having trouble seeing that on a certain time frame that you're trading, just move up to another time frame and see what it looks like. So we're going to click over here, 4,000. And you can see how nice this looks. These are all green bars on the 4,000. And clearly here is your break, however you want to draw this, like that, right? So clearly here's your break, and then here's your push up to the new high. Um, I didn't like this. This looks very thin to me. Um, that's barely an attempt to move on. I mean, some people they look at these to the tick moves, but when I see this like that, print, it's not enticing to me. Um, I can't explain exactly why. I mean, it will be to some people because it looks and eventually it does work, but then you can also draw these, short-term trend. And I would be when I draw these, I'm as I'm well, strict is not the word, but I give it the biggest benefit of where that trend might be forming. So there are people who start off the wick and they'll draw it like this and they'll say, "Oh, there's a break and a new low." But sometimes when you get these this bigger price action, sometimes the trends form off the bodies, the closes. So I'll start with the close. I'll be as strict against myself as I can, and I'll draw it like that. Um, I guess you could maybe draw it like that. It's that even though that pokes out, it still looks too much against me to want to try to trade that. It's still too steep to me. Looks like all like one leg. You might even expect this to pump up here a little bit and then form a second leg down for the size that this is. It doesn't here. This ends up acting as like the only break you get, or the only strong correction you get. But yeah, so if I'm really not sure about whether it's a trend or not against me, I try to be, as uh, strict with it against myself rather than, liberal in saying like, oh, that's over now. That broke, made a new low, because it's more conservative way to draw the trend against yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now we have this break, new high, but this could, maybe this will hold as resistance and start pushing down before I think of a short. The EMA is way too close for me to think about like a lower high. This price action is way too like choppy. You can see it doesn't go very far on when it tries to push down. So, and the EMA is really close. And you can, sometimes you'll notice that the EMA when prices buying is strong, um, that prices won't even make it to the EMA before they bounce again. So, um, even though this has a break in new high, this doesn't look like this is not very clean for me to try to take a lower high. Um, if I was thinking about taking a lower high like off this level, I'd want to see like a very steep, sharp move up, like all these bars right into the level, kind of like a parabolic blow off retest, not this choppy stuff that you can't figure out exactly what's going on, and prices seem to be finding some sort of support as they move up. So uh, that's where we're at right now. Just kind of watching the price action, watching these levels, seeing how prices react off these levels. So, all right, be back in a little while. Let's talk about what's happened here since the last update. So we had these measured moves on here. Also talked about this trend being its own trend and moving up into, the overnight high area. Also, watch prices may want to fill this gap. Look, we hit the overnight high. We kind of tried to reverse off there, and we made, just a weak attempt to retest the low for this move. Actually, I mean, it retests on the body. See that body's retesting there. So you get this move down. I'm not going to try to enter this as a second attempt into the EMA. I mean, you can see that's blocked there by that trend, and you can see that nearly failed. If someone tried to enter that as a first attempt, second attempt, and even this is a lower high, that's no good. This is just too close. This could bounce at any time. It doesn't necessarily have to push down here. Um, and for as big as that bar is, much risk you're taking on. Looks like maybe 7 points, just not worth it. So I think what prices wanted to do here, and maybe it'll turn out it'll just want to keep chugging higher. But like I said, prices often like to fill these gaps, and it came up here and filled this gap that was left when prices opened last night way down here. So we could just go sideways here. We could just be prices just they could be satisfied that they filled this gap, and overall their intent is to go down, and maybe we start plummeting back down here into the overnight range off of this price filled level. Definitely not looking for a long. Anything long to me is played out. I can't find any good structures. And look, I put this on here because some people draw these super wide structures, and then you'll have these guys out there on the internet that want, prices will come back here. Oops, right, and they'll bounce off this level and go higher on some goofy looking setup, and they'll mark that as a good trade. You can't take something like that it's super wide trend. And they'll call that a confirmed trend and so on and so forth. Just the price action is too big, it's too wide. We're looking for more near-term structures. These are more of like a guide. These wider trends, if they manifest, I'm looking at them as more of like a guide as to am I like would I am I if I get a near-term structure down, am I actually shorting into a potentially bigger trend so that I want to stay out of doing that. So this to me does not seem like a real thing. Um, Obviously now that prices they're just kind of wandering around here. Look, even if it's bouncing here, this does not seem like a real thing to me, this trend. Maybe there's something even smaller that we could find later that fits better, like maybe off here, or something. But um, I'm, after I pause the video here, I'm taking this off. I'm not using this right now. Um, and maybe we even draw it here. Maybe it's just a level of support, but an actual trend, it's not good enough. It's not making its way back up to the highs here. Um, Most likely, if prices bounce off here and go higher, there's a more near-term trend that we'll be able to trade off of rather than trying to rely on something extremely big that doesn't really fit the profile of the types of entries, targets, and stops that I take. So, I may leave this on here, just the bottom is a visual aid. Um, but I mean, this could very well just fail back down, and then that totally makes this irrelevant. So that's all I have for now. We have indeed, made everything up that we needed to for price action to be played out to the upside. This measured move has been made. We've come back up to the overnight highs. We've come up and filled this gap. And so now we just watch and see, are we going to get something to the downside, or will this maybe bounce here and fail and then rip up, and then we get maybe a new trend that we can try to find an entry off of. So that's it for now. All right, let's the last time we updated it was a little bit after 10. So I removed the gap line, um, which would have been right in this area. So after we hit the gap, we went back down in two legs, um, pressed into the overnight range a little bit, and then popped back up. We had this strong move up. I was looking for something here on two legs for a long coming off the overnight low. This is not good enough for me. That's too weak. But once you got this, tried to push down again and then reversed out the other side. If we'd got something that maybe closed just in here a little bit, you have room to the EMA. I'm okay with that. This bar to me is too big now. It's right into the EMA. You can see prices try to push down again, and you never know. Sometimes that works. It succeeds. So this is just, I don't like that as an entry on a long. If we close down here closer, then yes. And had I been trading I want to say, I mean, can't say for sure 100%, but this is taking a look at the 1000 tick chart. This is the same area right here. This is more of what I'm talking about. You can see how you get two legs down off this strong move up. Um, I drew this as a downtrend. Okay, so this entry it's not at all blocked by that. You have plenty of room to get out. before the EMA, before that downtrend, potential downtrend line there. So this is more of what I would be looking for. I just wasn't watching the 1,000 tick chart. It does seem like it's printing kind of clean today. So, if I would watch that, then maybe we'll get something off there some point. So overall, what are we looking at? So now after breaking out, we've got one attempt to fade this overnight range, and that busted out with two more legs up. We have a second attempt, and looks like the bulls have decided. Uh, you know, we tried to fade twice. We were able to push it up, and now we might just be going higher now. We had these two legs up, big measured legs, into that gap that we filled, and off the gap, we tried to push down through the overnight low twice, or overnight high twice, and failed. So when you have that a certain level tested a couple times and it can't get through there, it tends to go the other way. Now, whether this just turns out to be a huge bull day off of here, then we'll see. But this definitely looks like we're strong to the upside here. Maybe at some point you look for prices to come back and retest these levels where they struggled through before again moving higher. But we'll just have to wait and see. The other thing I want to point out here is I avoid taking, you've got one leg up, two legs up, and here's why you can't just short a measured move, or you have to have uh, taking this at the end of a leg would be only like on a correction. I'm not, I don't generally just, in this case, short a measured move or buy, um, a measured move off two big legs that don't have anything else going for it. Like here we have this move up, and now you're expecting a retest. And sometimes these corrections get rather steep, and they don't hold the EMA, but you can still see how clean they are. So at that point, you'd be maybe looking for another a new leg, at least um, a retest of the high, if not a second leg up, which we get. But here, just wouldn't take that. If we got something, if this produced a lower high after the two legs into this area, then yes, that's why I always talk about, you'll see me talk about in other videos, 9 times out of 10 on something like this, I'm going to wait for a lower high because of that issue. That will happen to you more often than not, and it's very difficult. It looks nice when it just repels off there, but it's very hard to determine when that's going to happen. Um, so now we still have this. I'm still saying this is all part of one move up. Some people may draw a very strict trend line and call this a break and a new high, but I think this is all part of one move up. So you'd be looking for like a bigger correction off of that. And this here, I don't like these. I think I started to talk about this. I don't like these so-called failures, reversal failures that are this tight like that. You're still kind of in this in a trend here. So these reversal failures, you'll see people teach this about, and then when they fail on people, they'll tell you, well, you're not. These are advanced trades only, so don't take these if you're just learning. Which, if you're just learning, you're probably not watching somebody's video. Or I'm sorry, if you're a professional and you established a profitable way to trade, you're not probably not watching some guy's video that's teaching people learning. You're already trading profitably, so there's no reason to watch somebody's video. So if they're so-called advanced trades, um, then I wouldn't even be putting them on my video because they're, um, people watching them, they're trying to learn how to trade. And so I try to keep things simple. Um, but you'll see here they'll call this a first attempt, a second attempt, because this price is broke above this bar here, and then they'll teach you would put your stop order below there, and because that didn't break lower on that bar, then you'd stick it there and put your stop here. And I'm just telling you, you'll drive yourself crazy trying to trade these things. And when you ask somebody that's teaching that, they'll just tell you don't have enough experience to do it, to know which ones to take and which ones not to take. And so you're just better off just leaving those alone. There are plenty of other clean, simple trades to take um, than trying to take those. I don't care how many years of experience you have. Um, Again, 9 times out of 10, I don't take something like that. I saw this developing, and I figured that's probably going to go down now because we've got 2 big legs up off this resistance, but I still didn't take it because I've seen, even when the context is good, I've seen these like fail and keep going back up, or at least temporarily stop you out, go up a little bit more, and then go down. And there'll be some goofy reason why it didn't work when you ask the teacher, and it's just you'll never figure it out. You'll just pull your hair out trying to. So stay away from those. Anyway, this is quite a long update, so I'll just stop it here for now. All right, just a quick update. We haven't gone very much further here, but I just wanted to show you this, that I am aware. I do see that there are these 2 legs potentially make up a second measured leg up. So you'd have 1, 2. But I don't really feel like these 2 legs are connected to this one. I think that this is more of a new move from prices trying to push down through this overnight high. But yes, I do see that. Just a quick update here. So we pushed up, we ended up just going sideways. Let's just talk about this here because I think people will get trapped on this. This is why I like 2 clear legs back of correction to take. So you've got this uptrend. Here's a break, and here's a push up, and then people will go long right here, thinking this is like a first attempt, second attempt, and or they may ignore it. They may look to the tick and say, okay, this is first attempt, second attempt. But I know a lot of people will just view this as 1 leg, first attempt, second attempt. But you're going long right into this swing. You see prices started to sell right here for some reason on this correction. I want more room normally to this swing here, and this is a very big bar, lots of risk you're taking on, probably 2, 4, almost 6 points of risk. And the thing just kind of goes sideways a little bit and then fails on you. Boom, there's your stop hit. And what happened is you can't tell right now, but you're getting a little range here for some reason. And so prices, where's our little range thingy? Once prices do this and start going back down, I immediately throw a little tiny range on there. Then we pop out. So you could look at this as a bigger break and now you get the new high for this range. But here I want to show you this. Here's what I'm talking about, these little failures. People, they'll see this and they'll say, oh, this broke, made a new high, now we're getting a reversal. First attempt, second attempt, and they'll drop their little bar right here. Or some people will just go, they'll just throw a bar here waiting for this to engulf and get ticked in on the way down. It's what they're taught. And what happens is you get ticked in and there it goes up against you and you get stopped out. So that's why these things, you will never ever figure these things out to make yourself long-term profitable on them. I'm just telling you. Here's an example of one that looks really good after this trend plays out. You think you're going to get a reversal. And under the EMA, look at that. Look how bearish that bar is. Boom, you're ticked in and you're stopped out. And back up we go. Now I don't have any idea where this is going to go. Maybe this will form a bigger range here. But what I'm trying to do here in these videos is accelerate the learning curve for you on becoming profitable and showing you in real time why a lot of these things these traders mark as good trades, they're not really high probability. They just look like it when they only mark the winners on the chart after the fact. So you'll get a little, I'm telling you, you're going to get a little marking here. It's going to say, oh, there's a failure there, and there'll be an arrow pointing down. And wow, look how good that, look how quick that went down. Look how many points you could have got on a runner there. But, and you know what? If it would have done the same thing here, you'd get the same thing. But when they fail, there's just no discussion about them. There's no accountability from these folks on here that teach this stuff in hindsight. So I just wanted to point that out. There isn't really anything interesting going on. Price actions slowed down quite a bit here after the early morning volatility, and you might have one leg up, break one. Sorry, here's your uptrend, break one leg up. This may be two legs up. We just definitely seem overall bullish today. Since we cleared this overnight high level and we can't reverse through it. So you may just see some strange continued upward trajectory of this market today, and there might just not be anything for you to get or any clear structures that with clean price action. So I've been kind of taking a quick look at the 1000 tick chart once in a while. I was actually, before this update, I was gone probably from this area to here when we started doing the update. Now, if you look here, I'll show you this too. This will probably get marked as a winning failure, right? This will get ignored, and this will get marked because you have a first attempt down, you have a second attempt down, and prices defeat that and keep going. So this will get a little arrow here probably, and showing you could have gone long there. But again, it looks good in hindsight because it won. But consistently finding the ones that win it and the ones that don't when you're in these short-term trends like this. Right? So there's short-term trend that one's in. Here, this one's in the short-term trend up. So consistently finding those, I think it's just you're just gaslighting yourself in the long term and creating bad habits. So that's it for now. Let's do an update. So when we left off, I was talking about these couple in reversal, so-called reversal patterns that are in the short-term trend lines. Then we kind of got, this is a little difficult to follow. We got these two legs down, and it actually pushed down a little bit more. I started to draw something like this. I don't know if I had this on the chart the last time, but it just doesn't seem like it's relevant. I haven't liked this, something like that. And then I had a high up here, but this never came back down. It just kind of randomly bounced here. And maybe I shouldn't say randomly because there's always a reason why things do, but you just might not be able to see them. Maybe it came down and tested this level and then bounced higher again. So that's probably what happened. So then it just rips out of there. You get one leg back, new high. And then when I talk about how I don't usually take new highs, just, short them when they get to a certain spot. This is the kind of stuff that I will take sometimes. I wasn't here at the chart, so I can't say whether or not I would have. But when something pushes up to another high and the resistance is right around where the previous resistance was, the previous short-term high there, pushes down and then kind of just pushes back up into the high level, and then you get this nice bar here printed. There's not a whole lot of room to this swing. Usually I'm looking for something with more room to that swing. There is a couple, a little bit more than a point there to that level where it bounced before. Bounces to comes down to the EMA, and now we're looking like it wants to try to push higher again. But I don't think this is really anything. I have not seen really anything today that I like other than that this 2 legs down. If you had been watching um, the 1000 tick chart, it forms a nice setup there with lots of room back to the EMA. This here, you get this leg down, you get this move down here like this, okay? So you get this trend down. You can see that there like that, and then you push up. This is like a first attempt. You don't quite make a new high there. This is just too choppy for me. You'd be shorting right into this little bounce here, and sometimes when this doesn't make a new high, this first leg of correction doesn't make a second corrective leg to a new high. Sometimes you'll get like it'll try again to do it before it fails down. So, I didn't really like that. And again, it's right into these lows. You don't have a lot of room. But what you get is this leg down, it breaks and then makes a second leg down. But that's about all I got for now. We're just kind of bouncing along here. Um, Not in any structures that's really clear to trade. This would have been, kind of an aggressive trade. I wasn't sitting at the desk. Don't know if I'd have taken that or not. So I'm not going to say I would have. Okay, let's wrap it up for the day. Didn't end up getting anything today. Last time we checked in, we were right about here. I was talking about, this maybe, but I wasn't at the desk. And then so we got into this big downtrend here. Let's move this for now. And so when you get a big clean downtrend like that, you're looking for 2 legs, and we get 1 leg, and then we get, just garbage. It doesn't push up past there. You get it. This second leg comes back and then just dumps down into a new low. Um, and then it just gets messy. There's nothing here to talk about. This is just a mess, and you just want to avoid trying to trade in this stuff. It just gets real choppy, whether it's going up or down. Um, and that's about it. So there was like 3 areas today that, and then I just put this as I was trading. I just put this down here to kind of as a visual. I'm not going to try to buy that there. You never know if that's going to succeed or if it's going to tick you in and just keep dumping down. So it looks nice after the fact, like I always talk about. You'll see people put an arrow there, just, that's a green one. You can just buy that, and that's aggressive, they'll say, and just avoid that stuff. Because you'll find that you can't trade in hindsight. You can only trade in real time. So this was the other, area. If this had set up a little better, we could maybe try something right here. Not try something, but we could take in a short. If we'd have got this a little bit better finish up to a new high for this leg, um, then I kind of like that one there. And then the other one was this here. Just this bar just finished too high. If we could have closed right here, which, like I said earlier in the video, it's nice on the 1000 tick chart. That chart was printing pretty clean at this time, but it's very difficult to flip back and forth because you get focused on looking for something here. And if you're watching the other chart, maybe it doesn't finish good and then it finishes here, so it's difficult. But I kind of use that more of an example of what I was looking for that didn't just quite pan out for me. Now these are if this would have worked out, these are good. I like to call these um, you hear me talk about the trades that people call reversals, where they're stuck in this short-term trend right here. You see this high, first attempt, second attempt, and they'll, you know, somebody will try to short there,
thinking this is reversing now, and they get trapped in. To me, these are true reversals. When you get played out to one side like this, you get one leg down, we get two legs down, and then you get a nice clean move in the other direction. It's very clear. And then so you draw your measurement there. Once you start getting this correction, you draw your measurement there, and what you're looking for is two clean legs back. You want this leg down to break and make a second leg down, clearing that and making a new low. Preferably, they're like the best when they turn into measured moves because that ends up being the center of a pattern. It doesn't have to be exact, but when you get close to it being a measured move, it becomes the center of a pattern, and you will often then get this second leg. It might be choppy. You'll often then get this second leg launched up, or depending which direction you're going, or down into a measured move. And so these are great places to um, take runner positions, and your target would be somewhere near the measured move level. I usually, when I go for these and I get in on one, I'll usually target about 80% of the measured move. So that's why I have this on here. When I get in one of these, if I'm able to get in one, I usually target that 80% and not try to push it to a full measured move. Sometimes you try to push it to that and it ends up not making it, and then it just reverses back down and it wipes out your runner. So I'll try to target the about 80% of the measured move when prices are swinging back and forth like that in measured moves. And this would have been another one up here had this worked, or not worked, but had this set up a little better. This would have been another place where you get this trend kind of plays out. We push back, we get a nice clean trend down through the EMA, and then you get your break, and then it pushes down. You see you get a second leg down there. So that's a good place to try a runner also. But yeah, I think that's about it for the day. Whenever everything as the price action was playing out. So I will see you again tomorrow. Oh, almost forgot. Here is February's broker statement. So probably got that, I don't know, yesterday or something. Just wanted to show that the reason it doesn't quite tie out is because of this the data fee that I pay. If you I don't know, compared everything to what my platform showed, I think it's like $4 difference. That's it. So here's all the trades summarized for the month. 6 trades, like I said, and I'll be back again tomorrow.